Welcome to the Fearfully and Wonderfully Me podcast, a podcast designed to help you increase your influence, develop your leadership, and maximize your results. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast episode. I wanted to do an episode on walking the talk, and specifically an example of where I saw someone recently get this wrong. And it's interesting to me because a lot of times when we talk about walking the talk, what we're really saying is not just say the words, but actually follow up with a positive example. So, in other words, it's not enough to just talk about something, but our actions are shouting much louder than our words ever can, right? So, how this relates to influence. First off, it's been a very full October. As I record this, it's just the early days of November, and Mac and I had just a super busy October. Some of that was vacation. We went to Utah and I ran a marathon out there, St. George Marathon. Great trip, great vacation, much needed vacation. And then we followed it up with just 3 really super packed weeks where we were speaking in Iowa and then Detroit. And then just this past week, we were in Washington, D.C., where I was speaking at the Just 2023 conference, which is a international conference by Shared Hope International on anti-trafficking. So it's been just a whirlwind month. I think we were gone more of October than we were home. And we've been, super busy with the traveling. And then now we're home for a few weeks, which is great because Mac and I are working on an upcoming online training program. So we're calling this Blue Collar Leadership Academy, where we'll have a good number of our books available in short online videos. And so a big project to get all of the videos recorded and all of the technical pieces that go into making this available. And you'll be able to find more information, of course, on one of our websites. But it's been a good project, and we're not nearly done. We've got one of the video programs recorded, and we've got several more to go to record the videos. And our hope is to get several of these available by the end of 2023. So we're definitely blessed and busy, and we're looking forward to a full November at home, doing some recording of videos. So our thought for this is for organizations who are looking for a way to offer leadership development that is easy to access, affordable, and also relevant for the individuals in the organization, right? So we've had a lot of requests from clients to do some online training videos. And so this is a solution that's been in the works for a little while. And organizational leaders will be able to subscribe, whether that's 1 month or every month. They can choose from just one of our programs or access to the whole library of programs that we have available online for just one flat monthly fee. And that is whether they have 10 employees in the organization that they want to train or 500. So one flat subscription fee to access it. So super excited about all that. But anyway, all that to say, it's been a whirlwind of September was busy getting those initial videos recorded. October was traveling. And then November, we're looking forward to recording some more videos. So super, super excited about all of that. But anyway, so all that to say, I was in DC for the Just 2023 conference last week. And of course, then we were Detroit and Iowa. So Mac and I have not only been speaking at a number of conferences and, leadership trainings, but I've also had the opportunity to sit in on a couple of sessions of other speakers. So here's where the inspiration for this week's podcast episode, Walking the Talk. So what was interesting to me about this particular example was this was a quote unquote leadership session. And so I went in just some of it out of curiosity, but also realizing that I am always eager to learn about leadership. And so um, I would, I'm eager to learn and enhance my leadership skills, and knowing that I have so much to learn. There's so many things that we don't know. So I'm always ready to glean a nugget or a leadership quote or an insight or a principle. And so those things interest me to continue my leadership growth so that I can continue growing in my skills. And so I had the opportunity to attend a presentation that was, again, quote unquote, on leadership. So I walked in to this presentation and sat down, and the presentation itself was not bad. It was maybe a little basic, but the presenter did a fantastic job of interacting with the audience and almost a discussion. But here's where I think they got it wrong. And along with this leadership presentation, and the particular person really was talking about some of the things that can decrease our influence. She didn't put it like that. But really that's what she was trying to say. And she was giving some information about things like, if you want to be perceived as a professional, then you need to dress professional, right? If you are applying for a job or going into an environment or something like that, then please, dress in a professional way. Dress in a professional manner, whatever that means, but it needs to be appropriate for the position and the occasion. Now, that's not a bad thing at all. That's absolutely a great principle, and one that I think a lot of people need to be reminded of, right? Just raising that level of awareness to relative to, what does my professional appearance say, and how is that affecting my influence, either positively or negatively. And I think there's a balance, right? Because many of us, as particularly as we get a little bit older, we kind of develop our style, if you will. And there's nothing wrong with that. So for example, part of my particular style is, I tend to like to wear blue jeans, but maybe with a suit coat top. So I really, uh, something to dress it up, and maybe even some high heels, but I just love, that's just part of my style, is I love that. But there are some times where that's not appropriate, and that's okay. I need to find another way to be authentic to my particular style. Nothing wrong with that. And that's a very individual thing. But anyway, the presenter went on to give some other, again, somewhat basic, but some good foundational reminders of things that can detract from our influence. And again, this was a leadership um, presentation. But the presenter got, into about the third or fourth slide, and said that one thing that everyone needs to be mindful of is not using profanity. Now, what was ironic about this is that this particular was using profanity about one or two words every sentence. And it it really struck me as an example of getting it wrong, because here this person was at a leadership presentation and talking about being a leader and what are the things that help us be more effective at that, and whether it's dressing professionally and acting professionally, but also not using profanity. And this is a professional giving a presentation on leadership and saying we shouldn't use profanity, and yet she was using profanity, and not just a lot, not just once. Like, it wasn't one word in the whole hour and a half presentation. Like, it was about every sentence. And not coming from a place of judgment, because the words we use is a very individual example. But my point here is that she didn't increase her influence with me by saying one thing and doing another, right? That is always going to decrease influence. If you say one thing and yet you aren't doing that thing, then people don't believe us. I forget who said it, but there's a quote that says, "Your actions speak so loudly that I can't hear your words." Something like that. I may be paraphrasing that. But kind of just a powerful reminder of, where in our lives are we walking the talk? Where in our lives are we not walking the talk? And none of us are perfect, right? But our influence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from acknowledging our character flaws and working to overcome them, right? That is what helps us gain influence, is not ever making a mistake or not ever getting it, or not getting it right all of the time. Nobody is perfect. Believe me, I am far, far, far from perfect. And there are many things that I don't get right. But hopefully one of the things that I always am able to do is acknowledge that and saying, you know what, I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to get better. But one of the things that I know is that if I tell somebody eating healthy, let's just talk about that. If I I don't shoot for eating healthy 100% of the time, and I would fail miserably even if I was shooting for it 100% of the time, right? I talk a lot about healthy eating because that's a part of self-leadership, but I absolutely think that there are some times for some moderate indulgences. And so, I've shared with you on the podcast before about once a month, I want a bowl of ice cream. And that's just all there is to it. Maybe even a couple times a week, there is a treat, a brownie or something like that. I'm not shooting for 100%. I'm just shooting for moderation with the indulgences. Not that there aren't ever indulgences. So, but that's a different position than if I were to go around telling everybody they should never eat sugar at all because sugar is bad for you. Well, we all know sugar is not great for us. I was reading an article not too long ago that talks about people who don't eat any added sugar at all, like zero artificial sugar, zero added sugar in their diet, never have tooth decay because they don't ever have that sugar in their mouth that that their teeth are exposed to. And so their incidence of tooth decay or plaque or cavities is like almost none. Like they just almost don't have any tooth decay because they don't have any sugar that is corroding their teeth. But anyway, kind of a side note, but it's one thing to say something, but it's quite another to say something and then not follow that up by living it through our life. So that's my point here, is when it comes to walking the talk, it's not the talk. It's not what we say that's increasing our influence. It's following that up with actions that are in alignment, right? Not you've heard the saying, do as I say, not as I do. Right? That's a terrible saying. I've heard it a lot of times in reference to parents. Parents say to their children, do as I say, not as I do. Well, that's terrible because that's the parent saying, well, listen to what my words are saying, but don't look at my actions because they're not in alignment, right? That is a terrible example for me as a leader or as a parent, because people are never as inspired by our words as they are by our actions, right? What is our walk saying about what's truly important with us? Because the words that we say only influence people to a certain extent, right? At some point, people are looking to see what are our actions, choices, and habits really saying about us. And unfortunately, in the example of this presenter in this session, it didn't increase influence with me for someone to get up there and tell me that I should be dressing professionally and talking professionally, but then talking and using profanity in a very unprofessional way, particularly in a setting like that when they are the presenter, they're up on stage, they're talking to a large audience, and it really told everyone in the audience that they weren't authentic and they weren't in alignment with the words that they were saying. So my whole point and all that to say, just my challenge to all of us is to be mindful of where we are or are not walking the talk and keeping our words and actions in alignment. Until next time.
Start increasing your influence and maximizing your potential with Ria's audiobooks. Available at audible.com, amazon.com, and iBooks. Please visit riastory.com to learn about Ria's books, resources, speaking, and training programs. Thanks for listening.